Hello, today we are going to discuss the most important topic or concept of Indus Valley civilization, which is the decline of this civilization. Many historians give the date 1900 BCE as the period when decline had set in. Some historians, however, think the decline had set in somewhere around 1750 BCE. When we talk about the decline of Indus Valley civilization, it really does not mean that suddenly one fine day the whole civilization vanished from the surface of earth. What we actually see is the steady decline of the characteristic of Indus Valley civilization. And if we recall the characteristic, first we see decline of town planning. The drainage system, which was one of the architectural marvel and engineering marvel of Indus Valley civilization, suddenly was neither used and neither maintained by the people. Then we do not find the strict architectural plan adopted by Indus Valley people while constructing their town. The demarcation of citadel and lower town is not visible, and then there was definitely a steady decline in agriculture and trade as well. Historians for years have been discussing what could be the reason behind such a decline. Many historians have come up with their own theory. Among this, the first theory was that of Aryan invasion given by Mortimer Wheeler, Piggott and Gordon. Now, Mortimer Wheeler was one of the historians of colonial era. He thought that most probably the decline had been caused by the immigration or migration of Aryans from northwestern boundary. He took the instances written in Rig Veda. For example, Aryan called their god Purandhar. Indra was given the name of Purandhar, which means the breaker of fort. And since Harappan city were made of fort or citadel, Mortimer Wheeler based his theory on this concept that Aryans were warring tribe who came and destroyed the forts of Harappan civilization. Other evidences cited by Mortimer Wheeler were the fact that there had been sign of chaos in the Harappan city. From the last layer of archaeological evidence that we have found, we saw certain skeleton scattered in the street of Mohenjo-daro, which showed sign of invasion. These were certain evidences which were taken up by Mortimer Wheeler to forward his Aryan invasion theory. However, later historians refuted the theory on the ground that Aryans came to India somewhere around 1500 BC, whereas the decline had set in as early as 1900 BC. So, as such, Aryans could not be given the responsibility, and Aryans could not have been the cause for the decline of such an advanced civilization. Further, Aryans came to India in group, not to invade India, but we see the sign of amalgamation that took place. In Rig Veda itself, there are mention of ghost cities which could have been the Harappan cities already in the northwestern frontier of of Indus Valley site. So, Aryan invasion theory was refuted, but soon another theory came up, the theory of climatic change and rise of aridity. We know that the growing economy or the growth of urban civilization that we see in Harappan site was based on its agriculture. The agricultural surplus had given the boost for the growth of trade and commerce in Harappan civilization, and then this led to the growth of urban cities and towns that we see. But due to some reason, according to Orel, Stein and Agarwal and Sood, there was a climatic change. The climate became warmer, and instead of humidity, there was growth of aridity, that is dryness in the atmosphere. Due to that, agriculture must have failed. With the failure of agriculture, there was a chaotic situation. civil war must have took place, and due to all these reasons, the whole trade and commerce came down. Now, Harappan site and its urban characteristic were based on its trade and commerce were supported by agricultural produce. We know that cotton was one of the important item cultivated in Harappan site, and cotton was also exported as far as Egypt. With the decline of agriculture, the civilization itself declined. But then we also know that there are many sites even today where fertility of the land is good, and we also know that the Aryans came and they settled in the same land. If climatic change would have been the cause, the Aryans would not have been able to come and settle in the same land where Harappan sites were established. Whatever be the cause, climatic change could be seen as one of the reason. It cannot be completely refuted, but along with that, many other historians gave their own theory. One of the other theory is the theory of massive flood and earthquake given by Marshall and Gurdeep Singh. Now, Gurdeep Singh did a study in the inland lake of Rajasthan, and there are many sweet water lake in Rajasthan, and Gurdeep Singh wanted to know how such lake were created. In the bed of the lake, there are sediments which have been found, and Gurdeep Singh came to the conclusion that many sediments were brought from the northern part of India, which suggested that there was a massive river. And due to some earthquake, there could have been a massive inland flood, or which we call inland tsunami, that took place. This led to the siltation of river. This led to the ecological imbalance in Harappan site, and finally the whole civilization declined. The sign of flood is also visible through archaeological evidences. In many sites, we have found the construction of dam and embankment, which suggests that they were trying to safeguard their land from flood, but a major earthquake must have caused an inland tsunami, which might have flooded most of the important cities of Harappa, and then this flood finally resulted in the decline of the civilization. However, many historians believe that Harappan civilization was stretched over a vast geographical area. As such, the flood might have affected only few particular sites, not all. How did the decline came in all the sites was still a major question. The tectonic movement is actually one of those theories which also supports the fact that there must have been earthquake. However, Raikesdale and M.R. Sahani do not believe that due to earthquake a major flood might have taken place. Instead, they believe that one of the important river belt, which we also know as Ghagar or Saraswati belt, must have changed the river course, and then due to this the shortage of water must have led to harvest failure and further decline of the civilization. Same topic or same concept or theory has been propagated by V.N. Mishra as well. Even he believes that there must have been a large water body flowing through the Harappan site. Most of these cities that we have discovered were dependent on this large major river that was flowing through the site. It might have acted as the major source for irrigation and inland trading through boat and ship, but due to the shift of the river course, there was decline in agriculture as well as the decline was there in trade as well. But then one cannot deny that during the later phase of Harappan civilization, we do find a chaotic, some sign of chaos or civil war. In case where there must have been a shift of river water, the civilization or the people of that site might have moved slowly to two other parts, and this did take place, but that cannot be termed as only reason for the decline of civilization, because another group of historians, B.K. Thappar and Fairservice, come up with their theory where they say along with all these above given points, there might have been an ecological imbalance as well. We know that Harappan sites were growing. We have found satellite town closer to cities like Kalibangan and Banavali, which shows the growth of population. In such a situation, it was still a Bronze Age civilization and it didn't had enough technology to bring more and more land within agriculture to feed everyone. In such chaotic situation where there was already a scarcity of resource, most probably a civil war did break out, and everything can be culminated to one point where we can say that there could have been an ecological imbalance where population was huge, resource was scanty, and there were series of calamities that took place in Harappan civilization and the decline must have set in. So, this is all about the theories of decline propounded on Harappan civilization.